Waves has, or have, created their own Smart EQ plugin named Curves EQ. This is a plugin that will listen to your audio and then comes up with an EQ curve to hopefully improve your mix. It will equalize for you. With a plugin like this, I only expect two things. First is that it makes EQing much quicker, and the second thing is that it makes my mixing life easier. And for me, none of these happen with Curves EQ. I find myself fighting against the EQ changes this plugin makes on almost every occasion. It slows me down, as I will show you in this video. Waves claims that Curves EQ creates fully personalized EQ curves unlike other smart EQs that match your audio to predefined factory presets. That's a direct stab at Sonable right here. Don't be like Behringer Waves, especially when you use other one's ideas to create plugins yourself. This is not a plug and play type of plugin. Well, you can't just do nothing after you let Curves EQ learn and apply its EQ curves, but there is quite a bit to tweak and adjust, and actually you have to. The most noteworthy is the adjustability of the amount of boost and cut this plugin will offer in general or per band. You can also change between static EQ and dynamic EQ. I did quite a few tests with keeping the limitations of Waves EQ in mind. That means only use EQ to shape an audio track to make it sound the way I like. Here are some of the experiences I got. Let's start with an acoustic guitar. This is the original track. This is my EQ. It doesn't need much. A bit of high frequency lift, a little mid dip and some low end cut. This is Waves EQ. Every setting is pretty heavy-handed with up to 4 dB of boost on the low end and down to -12 dB in the higher frequencies. Here's a female vocal and all tracks have been matched in level. Let's start with the original.
The night when the young can be dumb and the stars are in our eyes. With the moon so high, everything just feels so right.
This is what I did with EQ. A simple dip around 500 Hz to remove some boxiness, and a high end boost while trying to avoid to boost the already strong sibilance.
The night when the young can be dumb and the stars are in our eyes. With the moon so high, everything just feels so right.
Here's Waves EQ.
The night when the young can be dumb and the stars are in our eyes. With the moon so high, everything just feels so right. The night when the young can be dumb and the stars are in our eyes. With the moon so high, everything just feels so right. The night when the young can be dumb and the stars are in our eyes.
It's again very heavy in its EQing with all suggested curves. The suggested dynamic setting makes this particular vocal too jumpy for my taste. I really prefer to use static here. On this next snare I'll start again with the original. This one has a lot of bleed from kick and China cymbal. I have set my EQ to remove some of the low end rumble of the kick, and it boosts the fundamental of the snare, and the China bleed is somewhat reduced. And this is what Curves EQ comes up with in its default learn setting. The plugin sees the kick as part of the snare sound and boosts that low frequency instead of reducing it. Also, I feel like Curve's EQ squeezes a lot of life out of the snare. Now, before I dive into some more multi-track mixes and you like this breakdown so far, please make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. This video is made possible by DistroKid. If you need to split the revenue of your releases with multiple collaborators, DistroKid has splits. This enables you to, very simply, split the revenue you make. Add as many collaborators for a release you want and decide how much of the cake they get in percentages. On top of that, you can set recoupments as well, so if you agree on a fixed fee instead of royalties, this is the way to do that. Get 7% off of your first year with DistroKid by using the link in the description. Now, when you use Waves EQ, you get these different curves. Unfortunately, Waves EQ does not remember EQ changes when you switch between these curves you get, which is a shame. Same goes for other settings like the dynamic and static slider. It does keep the boost and cut amounts the same between the EQ curves though. I hope the changes you do per curve can be remembered in a future update, because you can always reset the changes you do by clicking on a curve. Now let's go to a full mix, and this is my trusty Red Hot Chili Peppers cover. It took me about 5 minutes to dial in EQ manually to go from this to this. Now, when I inserted Curve's EQ on every track I wanted to use this plugin on, I was greeted with this sound. Yeah, this is not nice at all. I understand you need to let the plugin learn first before playing, but this warbled mess should not happen, I'd say. Waves EQ needs to do the same as Smart EQ and the likes and start in a non-process mode before you do learn. Now, after inserting all instances of Waves EQ I wanted to use and let it learn and just use the default settings, I'm left with this. In comparison, this is my own quick EQ. This is not great, I think. You really need to get into each plugin and adjust. This is the fighting against the plugin part, which I really don't like. In comparison, this is what Sonable's Smart EQ4 is doing in its default learn setting, which is called Universal. I added and changed nothing. From here you can tweak whatever you want, of course, but the default sound you get is so much better than with Waves EQ. Now back to the same Red Hot Chili Peppers cover and what Curve's EQ detected for each channel. The reverb was detected as a snare bottom, which I can understand. The rooms are detected as rooms, that's good. The drum bass is also seen as rooms, that's not so good. The guitar is overdrive guitar, that's fine. Bass is heard as synth bass, which I can understand, and the master is heard as room again, not good. When I adjust, I end up with this. This took me originally 10 minutes. It's much better, but I still don't like this. The dynamic EQ is boosting the high frequencies irregular and inconsistent. Here's one more comparison, and this is a dry and unprocessed recording as you can get. This is without any EQ. This is my EQ. This is Curve's EQ. One of the things I really dislike about the sound of Curve's EQ at initial settings is that it always seems to remove high end and that it can also be too heavy-handed. Now I know what to do to improve how the plugin works, but for someone with little to no experience, I actually think this plugin can do more harm than good. Yeah, this plugin needs a lot of tweaking to make it worthwhile to use in my opinion. But of course my experience can be completely different than yours, and that is why it's so important to try out this plugin yourselves to find out if it actually fits in your audio toolshed.